person, Mr. Smith, to indicate that you were positive that that was the person who did this?
I meant to indicate that he was the person whose eyes were similar to the person that I saw who shot me.
Thank you very much. So the eyes of the person who shot you is in your memory, is that correct?
It's not the only thing, but it is.
I understand, and I didn't ask you that, but I'm asking you, it was an important part. Isn't that correct?
It was a distinctive part of his face.
All right. And it was so distinctive you remember it today.
I do.
And it was in your memory bank immediately at the event and shortly thereafter. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And thereafter you were taken to the hospital.
I was.
And I think yesterday you said that federal agents and other law enforcement persons were there and asked you questions. Isn't that correct?
There were a number of agents there and officers, and they asked me questions.
The agents actually were what we would know as special agents. Would you agree with me?
Yes.
And the special agents are persons of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, sometimes known as the FBI. Isn't that correct?
I think there were agents from other federal law enforcement agencies, but there were definitely FBI agents there.
Thank you very much. And of course, you were no doubt asked to physically describe the alleged perpetrators of the event.
I was.
Okay. And you gave them fresh and as descriptive as you possibly could. Isn't that correct? The descriptions of the persons.
I gave them the description.
Okay. And would you agree with me, sir, that you did not tell them anything about the eyes, the distinctive eyes of the alleged perpetrator who shot you? Isn't that correct?
I don't remember mentioning his eyes at the time. I could have.
Okay. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Sir, I'm going to hand you a 2-page document. Ask you if you look it over for purpose of identification and authenticity. See if you know what this type of document is.
Yes, I recognize this.
Just state for the record what it is and that you recognize
yes,
at least the form.
This is called a Form FD-302. It's a Federal Bureau of Investigation interview form that records the interview that Special Agent Blanton, I believe, was the author of this.
All right. Thank you very much. Now, I just want to ask you a couple other pointed questions. You recognize the form of it, do you not?
I do, yes.
And I know it may be photocopied, but would you agree with me that it appears, at least at the present time, to be authentic? That's the way that these reports come.
That's, yes.
Okay, thank you. And would you agree with me that that is a 1 and maybe a quarter page document?
Yes.
Okay. And it is authored by, presumably, but I don't see it signed, and it is a signature on those oftentimes omitted, or?
Their normal practice is not to have a signature on these.
So not seeing a signature on there is not unusual, correct?
No, it's not.
Okay. It's not correct?
It's not unusual to not see a signature.
Thank you. All right. And you see that the date of March the 5th, 2015 is not on there. I mean, is on there, is it not?
It says investigation on March 5th, 2015, and this is the interview of myself.
Okay. Presumably at the hospital, because there were no federal agents interviewing you as you lay in your front porch. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And if it was on the 5th of March 2015, presumably somewhere between 9 o'clock and midnight, that would have been the balance of the day, correct?
Yes, that's right. And
Okay.
this indicates this did take place at the hospital of Sinai Grace.
Okay, fine. Would you look that document over and see, probably down in the bottom quarter of the page, if there were descriptions of the perpetrators that the agents received from you?
Yes, there is a brief description in here.
All right. Well, you did the very best you could, did you not, to describe the person or persons who had done this to you. Isn't that true?
I'm sure I did.
Okay. And the whole idea was to help the authorities come to the conclusion as to possibly who the persons were that did this. Isn't that correct?
Certainly.
And you wanted to be as accurate and fair and as open and honestly in your memory as your memory would allow. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Would you agree with me and would you read it over? And I ask you directly, was there anything in there that relates to looking at the eyes and describing or saying anything about the eyes of the perpetrator who shot you being distinctive?
It only mentions that Berg was able to see the subject one's face and remember that he had a goatee.
Okay. Now, didn't say anything about the eyes. Isn't that correct?
That is exactly right, sir.
Okay, thank you. And that was in the hospital?
Yes.
And I think that was at the point in time when you told us that you were awake, alert, and had not received any medications which would have, first of all, blocked the pain or inhibited your conversations with the interviewing law enforcement.
To be clear, I don't remember when I received pain medication. I don't remember being in any way unable to understand my surrounding circumstances or respond to questions. And so when I was interviewed, I felt that I was able to make answers that were part of my memory.
To the best of your ability at the time. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I would be more than happy to have that marked, Your Honor, if you think it's appropriate. I think I've received what I wanted from this witness out of this document.
What's the people's position?
I have no objection to that.
All right, we'll mark it as Defense Exhibit A, and it'll be received.
Thank you. I'll receive it from the witness, and I'll have Ms. Blackman take a moment to mark it. May I answer?
You certainly may, yes.
Your Honor, it's been stapled so that it's one complete package.
All right.
And it is marked and I think now received as Defense Exhibit A.
All right, it will be.
Thank you very much. And I'll have it on my desk for any further exchange or use. Now, Judge Berg, after you were released from the hospital, as I understand it, that you went to see a lineup, at least one lineup, wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
Okay. And I think you said you went to the jail.
We went to the jail.
Okay, thank you very much. And when you say we went to the jail, what comes to mind are the jails on Clinton Street, very close to this building here at the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice. Is that what you're referring to?
There was one time when we came down here, whether it was for a lineup or for some other kind of a meeting, I can't remember for sure. The lineups that I'm remembering were not at the Wayne County Jail down here. They were at another facility.
Correct. And that may have been out on Hamtramck Drive I'm not sure exactly what they call it. Would that sound about right?
I think that's right.
Okay, now,
Dickerson facility? Does that ring a bell? Dickerson facility?
I'm not sure if it was Dickerson, Your Honor, but I hadn't been there before.
Okay.
sir, would you disagree with me that an address at .350 Hamtramck Drive may have been where you went?
I think that is likely, and
Okay.
I'm sure that the records would reflect where the lineup was held.
Right. And would it refresh your memory, or do you have a recollection of the date that you went to that facility? Would it have been, for example, June the 16th, 2015?
That sounds familiar. I think it was in the summer, early summer.
Okay. And did you drive there yourself?
No, I couldn't
Okay.
drive
Okay.
until September.
All right. So you were probably on crutches or in a wheelchair or in a walker?
I was on crutches.
Okay. So you were ushered in, is that correct?
Ushered into the room where the lineup was?
Yes, sir.
I was.
Okay. And some point in time, is it true that there were people that were presented to you in a row?
Yes.
Okay. How many different rows of people did you in particular see?
2.
Okay. Were you led to believe that at least in one of those rows that the perpetrator who had shot you might have been a person who was in that lineup?
No.
Okay. So you were just seeing a lineup of panel 1 and a lineup of panel 2,
That's right.
and you did not know?
When you say I did not know, I'm not sure I understand your question.
Okay. All right. Well, you weren't led to believe that someone who was directly involved in the situation at your house on the date in question was in that panel?
No.
Okay. So you saw 2 panels? Yes, is that right?
I saw 2 panels.
Okay. And to the best of your recollection, were those 2 panels all of the same identical people?
No, they weren't.
Okay, thank you. And now, yesterday, and I'm going to hand these back to you. Would you take a look at it, these documents here, and if you would just tell me what, on the back, what exhibit number I've handed you. Just want to make sure that all of them have been previously admitted.
Yes, these are exhibit numbers 340, 341, 338, 339, and 342.
Do you recall those items?
I recall seeing these yesterday.
Okay. And you were handed them, and you looked at them.
I did.
And as a matter of fact, you can see that, and had some comment with regard to the clarity of those photographs. Isn't that correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and as a matter of fact, you had some, I wouldn't want to say complaint, but some question about how these people were presented and in what light they were presented. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
And this is the specific lineup that you're talking about.
Yes.
Was this the first opportunity of any lineup situation that you had with regard to the facts of this case?
I believe we had seen a previous lineup to this day.
And do you remember where that was held?
That was held at another jail.
Okay.
Wasn't the same facility as this.
Okay. All right. Can you tell us about when it was sometime after you were released from the hospital?
Yes.
Okay. Would it have been on one or more of occasion?
One occasion.
Okay. Well, do you see a time stamp or a date stamp at the bottom of each one of those photographs?
I do?
And would you agree with me that it was June the 16th, 2015?
Yes.
Okay. And I believe your comment yesterday was that the circumstances of the lineups were such that you had trouble seeing these people. Is that correct?
It was not as clear because of the lighting as I wished that it had been.
All right. Now, you know, and you've been to law school, of course? Yes?
Yes, sir.
And by the way, what law school did you go to?
I went to Georgetown.
All right. And, of course, you have been involved in the admission of documents or photographs in your practice?
Yes.
And as a judge?
Yes.
And you know that the test of such photographs as this is whether or not these items proposed are a fair representation of what it is that was to be seen or captured in this photograph as it was at the time the photograph was taken. Do you know that standard?
I do.
Okay. I want to ask you, with regard to those photographs, do those photographs fairly and accurately represent what the situation and setting was on June the 16, 2015 at the likely address, I'm pretty sure that we're being accurate, of 350 Hamtramck Drive, Detroit, Michigan, or Hamtramck?
They're a fair and accurate depiction of how the lineups looked. Now, the lighting, as I said yesterday, was slightly better than what is depicted in these photographs.
Okay. Thank you very much. So it's not exactly, and I suppose you can't really get exactly what it was that you saw, but at least does it, for intent and purposes, fairly well accurately represent?
I would say it is, as I said, it's a fair and accurate representation of how the lineups appeared. The lighting and the camera, I don't think, was able to capture all of the lighting that was there. It was slightly better than this, but it was still problematic lighting.
Okay.
So, I don't know.
At any time did you complain or ask anybody to make note of that?
I did complain about it. I don't remember saying, will you make note of that?
Okay. You understand that you were not in the room when you began to look at the persons from this live lineup, isn't that correct?
I was in the room when I looked at the people in the lineup.
I understand that. But there were other people in the room.
Yes.
Okay. One of which may have been a neutral attorney observer. Would you agree with me?
Yes.
Okay. And did you know that person by the name of Mr. John Casey?
I met him.
Did you know that he was a lawyer?
I met him and they told me that he was a lawyer.
Okay. And there were also police officers there?
Yes.
And did you see that there were fair and reasonable opportunities, and that, I don't know if you observed it or not, you can tell me, that they were taking notes?
I didn't see them taking notes when I was in the lineup room.
Okay. As you have conducted or participated in lineups as a prosecutor, have you not?
Yes.
Okay. And you know that there are people whose job it is to take notes with regard to the goings-on of lineups with witnesses such as yourself.
I can't say that I do. Lineups were not as common in the kind of practice that I had as a prosecutor.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I do know that a record is always kept of what happens in a lineup.
Okay. If you had made any question with regard to the conditions, okay, and had, in fact, stated, not necessarily a complaint, but an observation about the conditions, would you have expected that that would have been written down or noted by the persons, and that you had said it so that it would have been known to such persons?
Would I have expected them to write it down?
Yes, sir.
I can't say for sure whether I would have expected that. I
Okay.
think it would have been a good idea to write it down, but I am
Well,
not sure.
You didn't say it just for your health, did you?
I said it actually because I was trying to see if there was a way to turn up the lighting right then.
Okay. You wanted to have some control over the lineup, sir?
I wanted to turn up the lighting.
Okay, thank you. Now, you were the witness in that lineup, correct?
Yes.
And I think you went down there with your spouse?
Yes.
She was not in the room at that time, was she?
No.
Okay. So you were the witness, and you were to make a decision about who the possible perpetrator of the event that happened, about 90 days before that, at your house. Isn't that correct?
To the way that they presented it was to ask me, did I recognize anyone?
Okay. By the way, was anybody there asked to step forward at any time or have a facial expression of any kind, such as smile or turn sideways or backwards or anything like that, during the lineup that we're talking about now?
They may have been asked to step forward, but I don't really remember stepping forward.
Okay. If someone was asked to smile, would you have remembered that likely?
Yes.
Okay. And that was not the case, is that
No,
right?
I'm trying to remember if it was smile or I think I did ask them to smile, actually. Yeah.
If that was the case, I mean, you haven't said it, but here I am trying to refresh your memory about it, and I don't want you to say, yes, I now remember it because it didn't happen, but you think I need to hear that.
Is that a
Are you?
question?
Are you saying it because I brought it to your attention and you think you need to talk about that?
No.
Are you saying it because it happened?
When you say that, it reminds me, and I think that happened, so I'm trying to answer your question.
All right. Well, let's go back just for a moment. As you were on the porch at your house on the evening in question, I think you stated that you were some 2 or 3 feet frontal with this person. Isn't that correct?
That's right.
Okay. And at a point in time during the lineup that is depicted in the exhibits that you've just set forth, you were asked whether or not anybody in there, is there anybody in that lineup that you could positively identify? Isn't that correct?
During the lineup, I was asked whether or not I recognized anyone.
Okay, all right. And did you give a response?
From what I recall, I was not able to do
No,
so.
sir. Did you give a response? That means.
Did I give any response?
And did you give an answer?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thanks. And do you believe that answer was recorded?
Yes, I do.
All right. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Judge Burke, I'm going to take that photo, the group back to you and hand you this document here and see if you can at least initially tell me what it is.
Yes, this is the notation. I can't read the entire part at the top, but it says record, Detroit Police Department, and this is the record that was taken of the lineup, and it has my signature there.
Okay, thank you. So you do recognize that?
Yes.
I'll take it back to you from you. I'll ask that this be marked as the exhibit, defense exhibit B for the purpose of proposed exhibit.
All right, we can do that later. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, I'll hand this back to you, sir, if you'll allow me to get back to the podium. Besides, you see your signature, do you not?
I do.
And you see your name up at the top as the complainant or witness.
I do.
That would be you,
Yes.
okay? And you see the names of several police officers.
Yes.
And at the bottom left-hand side, you see what is a box called Other Officers. Do you not? On the bottom left.
Yes, that's where the officers are listed, yes.
Okay. And those persons were likely there, were they not?
Yes.
Okay. And also present Attorney Casey.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And it sets forth a time, does it not?
Up at the top, there is a time referent there, yes.
Okay. And you see at the bottom where Mr. Casey or someone in the box where he was, that would have been a lineup seen by you from 10:45 a.m. to 12:15 a.m. Maybe that's how long he was there. I don't know. But does that seem within the bounds of accuracy as the time you were there or the live lineup was conducted?
Yes, it also has a time reference up at the top where it says 6:16:15 and it's 11
Looks like
11 to
21
11:21 a.m.
Thank you.
Yes.
Does that seem to be accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Now, have you ever seen records like this before done?
Yes.
Okay. And would you agree with me that there are 5 names on this record, correct?
There are.
Okay. And they are named, different names, are there not?
Yes, there are 5 different names.
Okay. And there's a name after each one of the 5, or before each one of the 5 names, correct?
There's a number after each of the 5 names.
Okay. And so, presumably, if you were to pick one of the persons in the line, you would pick out the number, okay? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then you would state your comment as to what it is that you saw of a particular person in a number. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, would you agree with me that the number 4 person in this live lineup was a person by the name that's listed as Kevin Smith?
His name is there as number 4.
Okay, and of course there's a number 1, number 2, number 3, and a number 5 additionally.
That's right.
Okay, now there's a signature line for you, is there not?
We drew a signature line.
Okay, and on top of that signature line is your signature.
That's right.
And alongside that signature is some writing, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And is that your handwriting?
No, it's not.
Okay. Would that handwriting accurately represent what it is that you had told to the likely person who wrote that? Is it accurate, sir?
I said more than what's written there.
Sir, is it accurate about what it is that you said?
I think he just answered that.
Okay.
That it isn't accurate.
Okay.
He said more than what's written on the sheet.
Okay.
Is that what you said?
Yes, it's...
Okay. I'll be happy to go into that, okay? But would you agree with me that it says that the person listed as number 1, not being Mr. Kevin Smith, resembles the shooter to me? Did you say that?
I didn't use exactly those words. I did use the word resemble,
Okay.
but I said more than simply number 1 resembles the shooter to me.
Okay.
And so it's not inaccurate, but
right.
it's not a full statement of everything that I said.
However, it certainly was not anything identifying Mr. Kevin Smith. Isn't that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. Now, I would offer this as an exhibit into the record. on behalf of the defense at this time, Your Honor.
Any objections?
We have it marked as a people's exhibit with the officer who ran the lineup, and I would prefer the original be admitted. It's an exhibit run by the officer who ran the lineup, which we intended to produce.
What number would that be, Mr.
That would
Moran?
be number 415. We can admit it now if the court wants. We can go into it with the officer, but it's people's number 415.
Why don't we do this? The original's already been marked to Mr. McWilliams. If for some reason 415 isn't moved, you can renew your motion, and I'll deal with it at that time.
Very well, thank you, Your
Okay.
Honor. And
All right.
I don't want to miss not getting into the record, so
Won't be a problem.
good, thank you very much.
I'll remind you.
Good, thank you. Well, regardless of whatever you said or didn't say, and what it is that you might have additionally said, you did not pick number 4 being Kevin Smith. Isn't that correct, sir?
Yes.
Okay. And that was even though you had a close, within 2 or 3 feet, face-to-face confrontation with the person who was the shooter, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And even though today and back then you did not and could not positively identify Mr. Kevin Smith as the perpetrator who shot you, isn't that correct?
That's true.
Thank you very much, sir. May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Moran.
Thank you, Your Honor. Judge Berg, Mr. McWilliams was just asking you about this lineup sheet and about your identification of someone who resembled the person who shot you. Do you recall those questions?
Yes, I do.
And do you recall him asking you, after you indicated you did not pick out the defendant in the lineup, that you had close face-to-face contact with the person who shot you on March 5th? Do you recall that?
I do.
Did you have that close face-to-face contact with those 5 individuals in the lineup?
No, I did not.
Were you able to get 2 to 3 feet from the faces of those individuals, those 5 individuals that were in the lineup, to look into their eyes?
No.
Now, Mr. McWilliams didn't ask you what other words you said besides what's recorded on the People's Proposed Exhibit 415, but did you say other words that were not written down on the paper after you looked at the lineup?
Yes, I did.
What other words did you say, Judge?
I was talking to the officer and I said, and I'm paraphrasing from my memory, I can't be totally certain, but in looking at these fellows that are here, it looks to me that number 1 most resembles the individual from that night, or something to that effect.
Okay. You didn't say number 1 is the person who shot me?
I could not say that.
Okay. All right. Did you tell, other than complaining about the lighting conditions and the viewing opportunity you had with the lineup, did you tell the officers anything else about the procedure of the lineup? Do you recall?
I was concerned about the lighting, and that's the main concern that I remember.
Okay, fair enough. And again, you're not coming to court saying, pointing a finger at the defendant saying, I'm positively identifying him, are you?
No, I'm not.
You're saying he recognizes the person, person with the eyes you saw that night resemble the eyes of the defendant. Is that what you're saying?
That's right.
Okay, all right. Let's talk about, if we can, the 302 that was introduced as defense exhibit. Do you have that up there, Judge?
Here.
No, I don't.
May I approach witness, Your Honor?
Yes, I think that's Defense Exhibit A.
I'm sorry, I misspoke. I apologize. For the record, I'm going to hand you defense exhibit A. Judge, I'll take that lineup sheet back.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Now, just so I'm clear, this is an FBI report, is that right?
Yes, it is.
Did you review this and sign it before it was submitted as a final report from the FBI?
No.
Did you have an opportunity to review it at all before it was submitted to the FBI?
No.
You indicated on cross-examination that this report was taken at Sinai Hospital, is that correct?
It says interviewed at Sinai Grace Hospital.
The report says that.
Yes, it does.
Do you recall when you were at Sinai Grace Hospital speaking to Ryan Blanton?
I remember being interviewed at the hospital.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you for sure that it was Ryan Blanton who was interviewing me. There were a number of agents there.
Do you know Agent Blanton?
I may have met him. I don't know him well personally and can't remember him right now.
Okay. In any event, you're telling us that as you're in the hospital being treated for your injuries, that is when these agents from the FBI were conducting an interview of you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that makes sense. They want to get information as quickly as possible. Fair enough?
Yes.
Okay. Now, during the course of that interview, are you being treated for your injuries?
Not during the interview.
Okay. You told us yesterday that the pain medication, the morphine or whatever it was you were taking, wasn't really doing its job. You still had pain.
Yes. There were a number of issues about the pain medication. I remember being told that they couldn't give me certain pain medications because prior to, I think, maybe having surgery. And so I'm not entirely sure what pain medications they gave me, or even if they did give me much in the way of pain medications when I first got there. I know eventually I got pain medications.
One of the other things you told us yesterday was that you don't even remember if you had surgery that night or the next day. Is that right?
Yes. I don't really remember for sure. It could have been that it was that night. It could have been the next day.
You're not sure?
Right.
And why is it you're not sure, Judge?
Well, because I guess it all happened in a very short period of time, and I wasn't trying to keep track as to whether the surgery took place on that night or the very next morning or which one it was.
Would it be fair to say, too, that you're kind of sort of caught up in the moment? You're under pain, you're in shock, you're in trauma. Is that fair?
Definitely.
Okay. And that's the time that these agents from the FBI were getting preliminary information from you about what you saw, what you heard, that sort of thing, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you gave them the description about what they asked. You said, describe them, and you described them, right?
Yes.
Did they ever ask you any distinguishing characteristics that you recall? Do you recall that question being asked?
They may have asked that. Perhaps that's why I mentioned the goatee.
Did they ask you, in this report, did they ask you, after you were shot, where the shooter and his accomplice went after the shooting? Do you recall that?
They asked me where they went.
Okay.
They asked me what I saw.
And yesterday you were asked questions about who got on which side of the car. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do remember those questions,
And you
yes.
answered and you said you recall someone getting the driver's side and someone getting the passenger side. Do you recall that yesterday?
I remember being asked that and remember testifying about that.
And before you answered that question, did you ask to see something?
Yes, I asked to see if I could look at my prior statement to be sure that I was remembering it correctly.
Okay. And now you've seen your prior statement, is that right?
Yes.
And that's the statement you gave right after the shooting took place on or about March 5th of 2015, right?
That's right.
And that's the statement you gave at the hospital, correct?
Yes.
And is there anything in the statement, Judge, that you told the officers interrogating and interviewing you in the hospital that the shooter got in the passenger side of the car or the driver's side of the car and the non-shooter, the accomplice, got in the passenger side? Anything in there at all like that?
No.
In fact, as you reflect upon it, do you ever remember telling the police where the shooter got into which door, or where the passenger driver's side, or where the accomplice got into which door? Do you recall that?
I can't remember telling an officer specifically which individual got into which side. That's why I was asking to see if I could see the statement that would help me to remember.
And now that you see the statement, do you remember?
Well, from this statement it indicates that if I was asked about that and if I said anything, they didn't put it in this report. And so this report doesn't refresh my recollection either way on that.
Okay. As you sit here today, do you recall ever saying that to a police officer or an agent?
I'm not absolutely sure that I did or didn't.
As you sit here today, do you have an independent recollection of, after being shot, lying on the porch, bleeding, of the shooter running to the car and getting in the driver's door? Do you recall that today?
I remember seeing both of the individuals running to the car. I remember seeing both of the individuals getting into the car. It's hard to search my memory and say for certain which one got into which door, and that's why I wanted to see what it said in the statement. And so, I guess the fairest thing to say is that I'm not entirely sure which person got into which door, but I did see them both run to the car and get into the car on both sides of the car.
Fair enough. May I approach the witness again, Your Honor?
Yes.
Judge Bird, I want to hand you 29, Mr. Williams.
Yes.
I'm going to hand you what's been marked as People's, take that back. People's Proposed Exhibit number 29, which is a number of papers held together by, I think, 3 organizations. Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you recognize what those are, sir?
I remember seeing these previously. Yes.
And are those, in fact, medical records from the treatment you received for the injuries when you were shot on March 5th of 2015?
Yes, they are.
Now, these medical records aren't all in your name, are they, Judge Burke?
No, they're not.
You told Mr. McWilliams yesterday that they were in the name of Bill Donahue, who's your best friend from grade school?
From high school.
High school. Oh, that's a good job. Why is that? Why was someone else's name given, if you know?
That was because in case this were the type of crime where somebody was specifically trying to target me, then it would be a security measure to keep confidential where I was hospitalized.
Okay. Do you know who picked Bill Donahue's name?
I think that was my wife, Anita.
Okay.
Picked that.
You told Mr. McWilliams that when you were a prosecutor, you tried different kinds of cases than cases that have lineups and individual victims who were victims of violent crime. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, usually.
Did you ever try shooting cases, Judge Burke?
I had one drug conspiracy that involved someone who was shot and killed.
In your experience as both a lawyer and now as a federal judge, have you had the experience being involved in shooting cases? Either pleas, charges, anything like that?
Only, well, rarely.
Okay. Are you familiar with the ordinary protocol that very often the name of the victim is held as a John Doe or changed to protect that person from anyone else knowing that person's in the hospital? Are you aware of that?
I've heard of that.
So it's not just for federal judges, it's for ordinary citizens as well who may get shot, correct?
Yes.
If you're aware. Are you aware of that?
I've heard of it.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I'm aware of it from my own practice.
I would move to amend People's Proposal number 29, Your Honor, which are the medical records.
Any objection, Mr. McWilliams?
No, Your Honor.
29 will be received.
You told Mr. McWilliams yesterday, sir, that you were shot in the leg when the defendant was pointing the gun at you. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. And your right leg just above your knee. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you indicated the defendant was 2 or 3 feet away from you with that gun pointed at you, correct?
Yes.
Now, you told me he did not say anything before he shot you?
No, he didn't.
Just pulled the trigger and shot.
That's right.
And then Rand didn't say anything as he was running away that you recall?
No.
You told me yesterday that you were lucky that you were able to walk. Now, is that right?
Yes.
Why is that?
That, I believe, the doctor said at some point.
With all due respect, I know it's the judge's knee, it's his medical condition. However, what he's about to say, and technically is in fact hearsay, which I to protect the record.
I'll rephrase it.
All right.
How close was that bullet to hitting your femoral artery, if you know, Judge?
I don't know for certain how close it was.
But it was in your leg, right?
Yes, it was.
And when you said you're lucky to walk, you're actually lucky to be alive. Fair enough?
In light of all the circumstances, that's true.
One second, Ron. That's all I have.
Mr. McWilliams?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Any questions by the jurors? Judge, thank you very much. You can step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Remain. You can. If you want to be excused, that's fine as well.
All right, thank you very much.
Just will we approach before we do the next witness?
Sure.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Just have to.
Okay.
I'll have it fine. Yes.
The person I think is Thank you.
Raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give today will be the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Please have
Please have a
a seat.
seat and adjust the microphone in front of you if you would. Okay.
Your Honor, I had the opportunity and did not find that that person who might have been identified was in the courtroom.
Okay, great. Thank you. Mr. Moran, whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much. Ma'am, would you tell me your name for the record, please?
Anita Sevier,
Ms. Sevier, for the record, can you tell me your age, please?
57.
I just have to ask.
No, you know what? 58.
58? You're under oath now.
That's it.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Sevier, do you know someone by the name of Terrence Berg?
Yes.
How do you know that person?
He's my husband.
And how long have you and Judge Berg been married?
28 years.
Back in March of 2015, specifically on March 5th, were you and Judge Berg at that time living at 18905 Oak Drive Street in the city of Detroit?
Yes.
And that had been the family home for a number of years. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
At that time, did you have any children that were living in the home with you?
Yes, at that time we did.
Okay. And what was that person's name?
Teddy,
And what was his approximate age at that time?
17.
He's still in high school back in March of 15.
Yes.
He's still in high school today? Correct?
Yes.
Okay. On that day of March 5th, 2015, Ms. Sevier, did you have a friend over for dinner and to help Teddy with homework?
Yes, we did.
Okay, what was that person's name?
Patty Montgomery.
And is she a family friend?
Yes, she is.
And would it be common for her to come over from time to time and spend time with your family in your home on Oak Drive?
Yes.
So that evening, nothing out of the ordinary was occurring prior to her departure.
Correct.
You had dinner together?
Yes, we did.
Did Ms. Montemori help your son with his forensics homework, his speech?
Yes, she did.
And is that something he does? Competes?
He competes with forensics.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
After dinner, did she continue to help him with the homework? If you recall.
Generally, she was done. She was finished.
About what time was it when Ms. Montemori was leaving your home for that evening?
10 after 9 or 9 p.m., close to 9 p.m.
Okay. 9 o'clock, a few minutes after 9 o'clock?
Right, yes.
And As she's leaving, does someone go outside with her to walk her to her vehicle?
Yes, Terry does.
And what do you do?
Do the dishes, clean up.
Are you inside the home on Oak Drive?
I'm inside the home.
Now, can you bring up photographs of the home? Let's do exhibit. Sylvia, I'm going to bring up People's Exhibit number 4.
Okay.
Which is a photograph of your house that evening in the corner of Oak and Florida Drive. You told us that you were inside the house doing dishes, correct?
Yes, correct.
Now, where is in the kitchen?
In the kitchen.
Okay. Where is the kitchen in relationship to the front of the house?
It is not on the front of the house. We live on a corner, so it's on the side of the house. So the window over the sink looks out onto Clarita Drive, which is the side of our corner house.
So I guess then a better picture would be 509. Ms. Sylvia, can you see the monitor or the screen?
Yes.
This is Clarita Street and this is Oak Drive, fair to say?
Correct.
And this is your home on the corner, correct?
Yes.
Now, you indicated to us that when Ms. Montemori left your home that evening, you were in the kitchen doing dishes, yes?
Correct.
As I look on this picture, I can see on the side a window here, and I can see looks like a bow or a bay window.
Yes, that's a bay window.
That's a bay window. And
yes.
what room is that?
That is our kitchen. The bay window is our kitchen, and beyond the bay window, there's another window right over the kitchen sink, a little further back.
Okay. We can't see that in this photo.
Can't see it.
Okay, but it goes toward the back, and your garage is detached on Clarita.
Well, it is attached to the back of the house, but that is our garage.
There's a walkway between the house and the garage?
You don't leave the house, but you go straight into the garage.
The picture, to me, is deceiving. It kind of creates the impression that the garage is detached. But it's actually physically attached?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So you're in the kitchen. You're not by the bay window, though, are you?
Correct. I'm not at the bay window.
You're doing dishes?
Yes.
Where is your son, Teddy, as Ms. Montemori is leaving and your husband is walking around outside?
Sitting in the kitchen 10 feet from me, behind me, or 5 feet.
Nothing unusual going on inside the house?
No.
Okay. After your husband leaves, does something happen that catches your attention?
Yes, I'm at the kitchen sink doing dishes, and I heard a loud crash. It sounded like glass shattering. I didn't know what it was, but I heard that loud crash, and then I heard yelling. I heard Terry saying, "Help me, help me." And so which I could just proceed to say what I did.
Are you still in the kitchen when you heard that loud crash?
Yes, I was in the kitchen when I heard the loud crash.
Can you describe the crash for me? When you say crash, what do you mean?
A shattering. In my mind, I thought, what glass could have just shattered? I had no idea what was happening.
Could you tell where that crash, that shattering sound was coming from?
Yeah, it was coming from the front porch.
And after you heard the crashing sound, how long after that did you hear your husband calling for help?
Less than a second, just immediately.
You're still in the kitchen?
Yes.
When you heard someone calling for help, can you tell me what those words were? Do you recall what he said?
Help me, help me. And as I got closer, he said, "Help me, I've been shot, call 911.
And when you heard those voices, help me, help me, help me, I've been shot, call 911, did you recognize them as coming from your husband?
Yes.
I assume you went to the front porch?
Yes.
Now, at that point in time, is the porch light illuminated? Is it on?
Yes, I'm assuming it is. I did not turn it on, and I'm quite sure it was on during the whole incident.
You have a front door to your home, I assume?
Yes.
Okay, and is it a large wooden type door?
We have a very thick, large wooden inside door, and then we have a storm door.
Is the storm door made of glass?
Yes.
And as you go to the front porch, can you describe which door was open and which door was closed?
The very thick, big wooden door was completely open, wide open, and the glass door was shut.
The storm door was shut?
Storm door was shut.
As you get to, you have a foyer in your home, a foyer?
Yes, we have a foyer.
And opens up onto your front porch.
Right,
As
correct.
you get to your foyer, you're able to look through the storm door onto the front porch.
Yes.
At that point, do you see anything before you exit the house?
Yes, I see Terry lying on the ground, on the porch.
You can see that from the foyer.
Yes.
What do you do when you're in the foyer, you see your husband lying on the porch? What do you do?
I yelled for Teddy. When I heard the words, "I've been shot, call 911," I told Teddy, "Get the phone." I don't know if I said get the landline, but get the phone and call 911.
Do you leave the house at that point?
Yes.
Okay, where do you go?
Opened the door and went right out on the porch.
When you got to the porch, is there anyone on the porch besides your husband?
No.
And is your husband still laying on the ground?
Yes.
Is your husband saying anything as he's laying on the ground?
Again, those words, "call 911, I've been shot," were said in there and maybe repeated a couple times. So that's what was said. I don't know exactly the order of it.
He's still saying what you'd heard him say before?
Yes.
Nothing else at that point?
He's moaning some. He's, wincing or kind of crying, and not crying, but just in agony over his leg. Or
Is he holding his leg? Is he doing anything with his hands?
No, I don't believe he's holding his leg. The way his leg was positioned, yes, he might have been holding the top, and he was shot lower than that. He wasn't holding the wound, but I don't remember, just lying there.
So you step on the porch, your husband's laying there, he's moaning, he's crying for help. What do you do?
Well, right then, I see two guys running away across our lawn. Okay, so what do I do? Yeah.
You step out, you see your husband.
Yes.
You look out. Do you look out?
I guess I survey what's going on.
Okay,
what's
fair
going
enough.
on? He's been shot. He
when
said.
you survey the surrounding areas of your yard and Clarita
Yeah.
and Oak Street, what do you see?
I see two gentlemen running away from our house.
Two guys running away from your house.
Yes.
Are they running with their backs towards you?
Yes.
Okay,
Back
so you see them from behind.
from behind.
Are you still on the porch when you see
Yes.
two guys running away?
Yes.
And when you see these two guys running away, do you do anything?
Yes, I yelled at them. I looked at the situation. I saw a car parked across the street. I saw them running towards the car. They were approximately 3/5 of the way there. There was snow everywhere, a lot of ice. I assessed the situation. I looked at the license plate. I couldn't see any numbers. Somehow it was blanked out, or there was something unusual about it. I saw the car wasn't running. I looked at everything and thought, I can't do anything about them. So I screamed at them.
What did you scream?
Motherfuckers.
Is that kind of language you?
No.
Using this every day? Okay. So what?
No, I was just. Oh, go ahead.
What possessed you to use that term?
I was so angry.
Okay.
I was just angry as they ran away. What are you doing?
After you yelled that to those individuals, did they stop and come back?
No, they did not stop.
Did they go to the car?
Yes, they.
And did the car eventually pull away?
Yes, although I did not see it pull away.
Fair enough.
Okay.
So you saw them going to the car.
Yes.
And you eventually saw the car.
Gone.
Gone. Okay.
It left.
Did you focus your attention at that point to your husband?
Yes.
Is he still lying on the porch?
He's still lying on the porch.
Now, what about your son, Teddy? What is he doing?
He has then joined me from my left side. The door open, he's there, and he's speaking to 911.
And at some point, do you start to speak to 911?
Yes, I grabbed the phone from Teddy and took over the call.
And did you have a conversation with someone on the other end?
Yes.
And did you tell them what the situation was?
Yes.
Now, would it be fair to say that at that point in time, you're sort of upset about the situation?
Yes.
Okay, and you're concerned about your husband?
Yes.
And when you're talking to the 911 operator, you're trying to convey what's going on, correct?
Correct.
And also, is it fair to say that you really don't know what happened to your husband other than he was shot?
Right.
You're trying to figure that out.
Right.
And you convey that as well to the 911 operator?
Yes.
And you've heard that 911 call since you've made it, is that correct?
Yes, I have.
Number 24.
Without objection, Your Honor.
We moved to amendment number 24, Your Honor.
1, 2, 4.
24.
You say no objection, Mr. McWilliams?
Just I want to clarify, it's 2-4, not 1-2-4?
2-4.
Okay, thank you. No objection.
24 will be received.
Ms. Sevier, I'm going to play for you your 911 call that was recorded by the Detroit Police Department and ask that you identify for us.
3/5/2015 at 9:17 p.m.
Investigation operation, surgeries.
Sergeant Hughes, this is Operator 14. I have a federal judge who's been shot at his home.
Say that again.
I have a federal judge, Terrence Burns, who's been shot at his home, 18905 Oak Drive. His wife is on the line. Ma'am? Yes.
Okay, have you requested a car?
Yes, I have.
Okay,
She's on the line, sir.
okay.
My mom, please, who are you? Please help us.
Hello, Sergeant Hughes.
Hi, Sergeant Hughes. My husband is a federal judge. He was just shot out in front of our house. He's okay. He's conscious, but he's on our porch. And the boys ran off. I mean, they seemed young. I don't know who they were. I didn't get a license plate. I couldn't run after them.
What kind of car were they in?
I don't know. I'm sorry. It was
Okay.
so fast, and I don't know.
Okay. Okay, ma'am, we'll get a car there immediately.
What? I'm sorry?
The car's on the way.
Okay, and we need an ambulance.
Yes,
To
and
the hospital.
okay.
He needs help.
Yes, ma'am, we'll get somebody there now.
He's gonna be okay, but we need help.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. They just ran up and shot him. And they ran, and they didn't steal anything, so I don't know if I don't know what's going on.
Okay, ma'am.
Andrew, help! Terry's been shot! Yeah. How long? I will put him in the car.
Okay, ma'am, there's a car on the way.
Okay.
Okay?
We're at 18905 Oak Drive. We're not far from the 12th precinct.
Okay, got the address.
Shot him, Andrew. In the leg. Okay. No.
What direction did they leave?
What?
Do you know what direction they fled in?
Yes, they fled north on Oak Drive. They were parked across the street at 695. They were parked there and they ran. They came up and shot us and then they ran. And I couldn't get them. I told them to hurry. I told them.
Oh, okay, ma'am. Do you have a towel wrapped around his...
No, it's not a towel yet. It's like we're getting the towel, getting a belt. Teddy, get a towel,
Okay, go ahead and tend to him, and then we'll get somebody there. They're on the way now.
Do we put it above the knee? Do you know anything? Do we put a tourniquet above the knee or not? He shot above the knee and the thigh. What do I do, sir? Can you get help to tell me what to do? Why? I am. I'm telling him to hurry. Why hasn't an ambulance gotten here? Can you give us a number for the U.S. Marshal, please?
Yes, ma'am, I'll do that.
Go get his wallet. We need.
Okay, just calm down. We'll get a car there. It's on the way.
We're so close to the 12th precinct. Why aren't you here? Okay, do I put a tourniquet on his leg? Can somebody help us know what to do? Do I call someone else?
Okay, ma'am, just calm down. We got somebody on the way now.
Okay. Go in there and find it, Andrew. Go see what you can find. Okay. I hear him coming.
Okay.
Someone to get him to a hospital.
Okay.
Go in the hospital.
Okay, I'm going to let you go so you can... Okay.
Okay.
All right, ma'am.
Is that your voice, Ms. Severity, on the phone?
Yes,
And it's emotional even today for you to hear that. Is that correct?
it is.
I want to ask you about a couple of things that are going on
Okay.
when you're on the phone call. First of all, who's Andrew?
Our neighbor, a neighbor.
And does the neighbor come over to offer assistance?
While I was out on the porch, right in the beginning, I saw him across the street, and he was standing over there. He had walked down 4 houses. So I think I yelled to him first, and he asked, "Is everything okay?" And I said no, so he came to help. He heard something.
There was some discussion about calling the marshals. Can you explain that to us?
Yes, because Terry's a federal judge. We were always told if we had a problem to call the marshals. And to tell you the truth, I hadn't thought much about it. So this happened, we called 911, and I just wanted the marshals to know what was going on because so they could help.
There was some discussion about something being in his wallet. What do you mean by that?
In his wallet, he said that there was a telephone number in his wallet. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Terry was somewhat part of this conversation. I was saying to Teddy, as you heard, go get a belt because of the thought of stop the bleeding from his knee, get a belt. Teddy brought the phone. Teddy ran and got a belt. Then we were talking about the marshals, and Terry said he had a card in his wallet with all of their numbers on it. And I said to Teddy, go get the wallet. And Andrew was around at that time, and I was just asking, go find a number that we could call for the marshals, not knowing, obviously, the police were, I had no idea. I was just trying to call people to help.
So you didn't know what was going on, you wanted to help your husband?
Right.
But you'd always told, call the marshals if there's any problem.
Right.
So you're calling 911, that's when you're saying let the marshals know.
Right. I want
to call someone else.
Right.
That's out of frustration, fair to say?
Right, out of frustration or just not knowing and just thinking we have to call people.
Sure. Okay. Right. Now, at the end of the call, we actually hear sirens. Is that about the time when the police arrived?
Right. They hung up basically when the police arrived.
Okay. And the police arrived. What happened once they got there?
I think a couple cars, they arrived very close to each other. The police came running up. Unfortunately, we had an icy patch, just one patch at the bottom of the stairs. Everybody's falling, and a police officer slipped. It was kind of chaotic. They came up. Someone had stopped in the street to help also, so people just arrived, and they were tending to Terry. And meanwhile, the ER doctor had already arrived.
Well, okay. Let me ask you about that.
Yeah.
Dr. Tamar Jeffers.
Yeah.
We heard from her yesterday. Did she arrive before the police arrived?
Yes, I'm quite sure she arrived before the police arrived, and she said get scissors to cut off his pant leg, and so Teddy ran to do that also. He was getting scissors.
So she was sort of tending to him?
She was tending to him while I was on the phone with 911.
And so when the police arrived, the doctor was already at the scene?
Yes.
So the police get there, and you said they come en masse. There's more than one car?
Yes, there are.
And once they get there, what happens?
A little confusing at some point, and I don't know exactly why. I ran back in the house. Well, one, I was barefoot, so I thought I needed to go with Terry to the hospital. I ran to get some shoes and socks, and then that's it. I went to get shoes and socks, and then I stopped in the kitchen to talk to Teddy. I don't know, he was in there with Andrew. Now, in my view, this was going to happen, and we'd leave our son home and go to the hospital. I didn't realize all the people that would be around during so I said to Teddy, you sure you're okay? Andrew, please stay with him. Make sure somebody was with him.
Your neighbor.
My neighbor. And by the time, and then there was a police officer there, and he said, let's go. And I got out front, and Terry was gone. They, at a point, well, I wasn't out there, but they picked him up, and they put him in.
So you go in to check on your son, get some shoes, talk to the neighbor, you come out, your husband's gone.
Right.
Now, by the time when your husband left, had an ambulance arrived yet?
No, no.
So, if you know, was your husband transported by the police?
By the police. The police officer told me that, said, we already took him. He's gone.
After he left, what did you do?
When I saw that he was gone, I just went and got in a police car. There were two police officers in the car, and they drove me to Sinai Grace Hospital.
What about Dr. Jeffers, Tamar Jeffers? Did she go to the hospital with you? Or?
She did not. She wasn't in the same car as me, but she got to the hospital. She drove herself.
Okay. So when you got to the hospital thereabouts, she was there?
She was either there or she showed up maybe she was there or she showed up right after me. I can't remember.
So you go from your house to the hospital. When you got there, I assume that your husband was already there?
Yes.
What did you do when you got there?
I arrived, and they had a social worker waiting for me and a team of people who immediately steered me a different direction, and they said, we'll let you see him when he's stable, and came to a room and talked to me.
And how long was it before you saw your husband?
Not so long, maybe 30 minutes, but I tell you the truth, I don't remember exactly. It wasn't real long.
Tell me what you saw when you went to see your husband.
When I went to see him, he was in a room, lots of officers and people around him. His leg was bandaged and stable. That was pretty much, he had He had been taken for a test already. Well, that's what they said, or he said, and then he just was laying there on a gurney in a room with, again, a lot of people in there.
Based on your knowing your husband for a number of years,
Mm-hmm.
did he appear to be in pain or uncomfortable at that time?
He was in pain, but he was talking.
Was he talking?
He was
coherent
talking.
when he was talking?
He was coherent,
Okay.
yes.
And was he under medication at that time, if you recall? If you know.
I don't know. I know I heard they said they couldn't give him things because they needed to assess the situation. They didn't want to muddy the waters.
Now, how long was your husband in the hospital the first time he was in the hospital?
6 days.
And did he have any surgical procedures as a result of the injuries he received?
Yes. The next morning they took the bullet out. So he had surgery then, and that meant that was Friday morning. And then Monday morning he was scheduled for another surgery to put an external fixator. No, let me back up a minute. They took the bullet out and they put an external fixator on him, which is a very cumbersome framework for his leg, which means his leg always would stick straight out. You know, something you can't walk and you can't put on clothes, pants, so they had that, and that was, the plan was to have that come off on Monday and bone grafts and plates and screws and figure out what to do. But Monday came and there were 2 surgeons, the chief from the DMC downtown and then Sinai Grace orthopedic surgeons, and they called us in and said, well, Terry was waiting for surgery. He was in horrible pain that day because they had to cut down on his pain medicine. And I was there with a daughter of ours who flew in, and they said, one surgeon, they didn't tell us who, one surgeon said they wanted to proceed with surgery and do what I just described, and the other surgeon said, I want to leave it, be conservative, leave this external fixator on him for an indefinite amount of time and see if it could heal naturally. They didn't tell us who said what, and they left it up to us to decide.
So there was a decision that had to be made by the family about how to proceed with
Right.
your husband's medical care.
Right.
And that decision was made?
It was made.
Okay. And the decision was not to put the plates in,
Correct.
so that didn't require another surgery at that point?
Well, so we required no plates, but they had to take him into surgery to stabilize it because what he had on was a 4-day fixator. So they added an extra bar. It made it more cumbersome. They added more to it. So he went into surgery to stabilize everything.
So that's a second surgery?
Second surgery, right.
And as a result of the second surgery, was he immobilized, or his leg immobilized for a period of time?
Right, correct.
How long was that?
Until May 21st, from March 5th or 6th until May 21st.
Was he at home recuperating during that time period?
6 days after he was shot, he came home.
But he could not walk on his leg?
Correct.
After May, did he have another surgical procedure?
Yeah, well, May 21st, he had a surgical procedure.
What happened there?
They, after all those weeks, bars go into his legs, and if you looked at the lower bar, he had a big infection. Instead of the bar going in a small way, he got a big hole in his leg, and I don't know about this big, and it got infected. So we were working on this infection and working on everything, and May 21st they decided, well, before that time they decided it's time to give up the fact that it was going to heal on its own, and we need to put in plates and screws and everything else. So May 21st he went into surgery to have bone grafts and plates and screws put in, but they took in surgery the external fixator off his leg and bent his knee under x-ray to see if the femur collapsed. And to their surprise and to ours and everyone's, it did not collapse. So instead of it, since it did not collapse, instead of twisting, it stayed straight. They took the external fixator off and decided 90 more days, no more walking. I mean, not no more, he hadn't started walking. So they extended it 3 more months, no walking, but possibly not a invasive surgery also.
So for a total time was 6 months when he wasn't able to walk on his leg?
Correct. Approximately March through end of August.
And after August came, was he able to then start walking on his leg or receiving physical therapy?
Yes, physical therapy had come into our home while he had the fixator on, just to do daily activity, to get out of the chair he lived in, and to well, to shower or whatever. So then external physical therapy. We went down to the Rehabilitation Institute of Michigan.
So this isn't like what Judge Berg told us yesterday. He thought he was going to get a Band-Aid or an ACE bandage and go home.
Right, right. Yeah, we had no idea. Right.
Is he 100% today?
No, unfortunately, no. He's still, he doesn't like it if I say it, but he limps when we walk sometimes. I mean, he still has a limp, and he's trying to work on the pain that's caused by everything. So he's back in physical therapy now, and he can't run, which was a daily activity, and stamina's harder. Just everything's harder. Things.
Now, would it be fair to say, Ms. Sevier, that you did not see the faces of the individuals who assaulted your husband?
Correct.
You saw them as they were running away?
Right.
You didn't see their front at all?
Right.
Can you just describe what you saw as they were running away from you?
So I saw two young men, and I assessed they were young men. As I said, we have a 17-year-old. So I saw these two guys running away. I saw them go to the passenger side of the car and the driver's side of the car. I saw their height. I saw their build. I felt their athletic abilities. They were athletic. I felt they were not wearing baggy clothes at all. They were wearing, tight isn't quite the right word, but fitted, and watched them run away and saw proportionally their sizes to each other.
In June, were you asked by the Detroit police investigating this case to go and look at lineups of individuals?
Yes.
And did you go to the Dickerson facility in Hamtramck to do that?
Yes.
And did you go with your husband?
Yes.
And in June, did you view two separate arrays of individuals?
Yes.
And what did you tell the officers when you looked at those arrays, before you looked at them? Anything?
Before I looked at I said I only could identify from the back, if that's it.
And did you look at them, the arrays from the front or the back?
I didn't look at them. When I did it, they had them turned around. I saw them from the back, so I saw the array from the back.
So you saw it from behind?
Yes.
And when you saw it from behind, did you say anything? Let's write that. When you looked at the arrays from behind, did you say anything to the officers about what you saw?
I don't know if I said it right then. They asked me afterwards, or I wrote a statement. But anyway, what I saw was I thought that when I looked at one array, I said that one individual looked like the size of the person I saw running to the driver's side. And then when I saw an array, I saw the next one, and I think it was in this one, I'd have to look at my notes. I saw two people. I said, if these are the gentlemen, one would have been the one to run to the passenger side, that's his size, and the person running to the driver's side, that was his size.
Just for identification purposes, may I approach the witness, right?
Yes.
Ms. Sevier, I'm going to hand you People's Proposed Exhibit number 36.
Okay.
Now, this is a sheet of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And does your signature appear on that form?
Yes.
Is this your signature that appears here in the middle of the document?
Yes.
Okay. And would you believe me if I told you this is a photographic copy of a show-up and photographic identification record from the Detroit Police Department?
Yes.
Okay. And it lists a name. It lists 5 individuals who were in the array of the lineup that you looked at, correct?
Okay.
And after you viewed the lineup, there were some notes that indicate what you said. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you had a chance to review this document?
Yes.
And you signed it. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And what did you sign?
I said that number 4 looks most like the guy's build, who was the guy who ran to the passenger side of the vehicle that they left in.
What name is number 4?
Kevin Smith.
Okay. I'm going to hand you what's been marked as People's Proposed Exhibit number 416. 416. Again, it's a copy of a photographic record of a lineup. Does your signature appear on that form?
Yes. Yes, it does.
And did you? Was there a statement that you made after viewing the lineup that was attributable to you by your signature?
Yes.
And what was the statement?
Number 1 could almost be the one that ran to the passenger side. Number 4 could be on the driver's side. Number 1 and number 4 have the build of the guys I saw running.
Okay, and what are the names of 1 and 4?
Number 1 is Kevin Wilson, and number 4 is Robert Williams.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sevier. Your Honor, I have no other questions.
All right, let's take 10 minutes. Break, ladies and gentlemen, step into the jury room. Ms. Sevier will step down for 10 minutes and we'll resume.
All rise.
416. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
You may be seated.
I'm going to hold these right here, Ron.
Yeah, that's fine.
Actually, thank you.